Hi, I'm Claudio Gienal. I'm today joined by Dr. David Hamilton, author and scientist on kindness. What we want to do today is have a conversation around mind health and the power of kindness. Welcome, David.
Thank you very much for having me, Claudio.
There is definitely a lot to be said about kindness and how we go about it. How do you look at this? What could being kind to ourselves do?
You know, being kind to ourselves, it's the part I think that we often forget about. And it's not necessarily about putting yourself first ahead of other people. It's really just about recognising your own needs and then acting on them. See, kindness it's protective for our mind health. I mean, one of the things it does is it boosts happiness, it improves psychological flourishing, it's even protective against depression. It's when we forget to include ourselves in the kindness that we introduce stress. And it turns out that kindness is physiologically the opposite of stress. I mean, as an example, when we feel stressed, we activate the fight or flight portion of our nervous system. It's called the sympathetic portion. But when we be kind, we activate the opposite of that, which is the parasympathetic portion, and that's called the rest and digest, or the rest and relax portion. Another thing that happens is when you be kind, you dial up the happiness and joy and flourishing portions of the brain, and you dial down the portions associated with stress, anxiety, worry and fear.
That's really interesting. And what you say is also basically just being kind has a physical impact on my body then.
Absolutely, yeah. Being kind impacts the immune system, it impacts the cardiovascular system, but it also has a physical impact on the brain, which is how it actually supports our mind health.
Yeah, and I think the other thing you just alluded to is also, it's obviously part of it is being kind to ourselves, and I agree with you, it's not a selfish act. I think it's the only way you can be there for the other ones. So, David, any 3 tips what I could do to be kind to ourselves?
Well, I'd say the first thing is to recognise your own needs and to act on them. So that's known as mindful self-awareness. The second thing is have a daily practice of mindfulness or kindfulness. You know, and kindfulness can be as simple as being mindfully kind as you go about your day. And the third thing I would say is cut yourself some slack. You know, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get it right all of the time. And also practice speaking in a more gentle and kind and appreciative way, like you would speak to other people, but speak to yourself in that way as well.
So what kind of acts of kindness do you practice to look after yourself?
Well, for me, I've recognised that there's some things that really support my mental health, so I make a point of doing them. I mean, 2 things come to mind actually. I love to cook and I love to play tennis. I mean, I live in Dunblane, Scotland, it's Andy Murray country, you have to play tennis.
Oh, thank you. I think there's some discipline to it, because you have to take out the time to do it for yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, because the key is that I do this because I know this supports my mental health. And because I'm doing it because of that, it becomes an act of self-kindness.
Yeah. Now, if I just move us on a little bit, in terms of, obviously we talked a lot about being kind to ourselves, and I agree with that. It's however, I think it's not just an act of selfishness, but the way I look at it is the only way I can be there for mainly my kids or employees, I have to be in good shape. So I have to look after myself. But are there other effects that looking after yourself and being kind to yourself has on the people around you?
Well, one of the most important things that I find about kindness, as well as obviously you bring a smile to people's faces, you help people to feel either, you know, relief sometimes or gratitude. One of the most amazing aspects of kindness is that it's highly contagious.
That's super interesting. That means also there is also a lot of power to be said about the power of kindness within the workplace.
It has a very similar effect in the workplace.
How can employers drive for kindness at the workplace?
Well, I would say firstly is help people to feel valued, respected and included. And the second thing I would say is make it okay to make a mistake, because mistakes are normal. I think we all make mistakes.
Thank you, David. I absolutely agree with what you said, the importance of setting the tone from the top and leading by example. And that's why I really believe that organizations should really build on trust, respect, and care for our people, or being kind to each other.
I think when a leader, you know, leans into kindness, it takes the pressure off everyone, and I think then people are more likely to be themselves, your authentic selves, and I think that's when you tease out the best in people and also see the best of people, and a side effect of that, I think, is you improve employee retention.
Absolutely, I think that's well documented. The happier people are, the more flourishing employees are. They stay longer, but not only that, they are happier. They add more value contribute more to the business. So there are many good side effects of having the right culture. David, thank you so much for your insights and being here with me today. And I hope everyone enjoyed our conversation. And I think it just shows the importance of self-care, being kind to ourselves, and how that not only helps ourselves but everyone around us.